Okay. Oh, we're ready?
Yeah, we're ready. I'm ready.
Okay, great. So, hello and welcome to the Fool Duel podcast for NFL Week 11. I am James Gale. You can find me on Twitter at GoJPG.
And I am Ivan Lovegren at Watch the Breaks, fantasy football expert here, placing in the top 0.1% of my tournament lineups last week. I'm just going to jump right into the brag time.
Do it.
One top 1% on FanDuel, top 0.1% in tournaments, quarter tournaments, turning my quarters into big bucks.
Hmm?
Had a great week, and actually, it is though. I credit where credit's due. It's all because you were so high on Jamison Crowder. Made me reevaluate things last week.
You know, the funny thing is I moved off of Crowder in my tournaments to do other things. I had him in some, but in my big one, in the one that I could have done well in, I had moved off of him. So,
Yeah.
but I played him against you, even though I lost. But
Mm.
yeah, so we lost both of our. I lost both of my head-to-head matchups against you. 112 points on to 124 on FanDuel. We'll put that
Yeah.
up right now.
Which is ridiculous because I actually placed in a tournament with this lineup too. That's how weird scoring was this week. That
It was.
124 placed on a Sunday Monday tournament for me. Only it was the lowest place. It turned my $2 into $4.
Still, it's a
But
win.
yeah,
And
very
usually,
much
usually like you need over 150 to place in
so.
most tournaments. Over 160 sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, so I had a horrible lineup and I still won. But Hoyer,
Yeah.
actually, the DeAndre Hopkins touchdown from Yates was worth so much on this lineup specifically. It pushed me into the money.
Wow.
So even though they benched Hoyer, the backup quarterback throwing a touchdown, or they didn't bench him, I guess it was a concussion
Yeah, yeah.
thing. But Yates is getting the start this week, I believe, right?
I think so.
Thought that's what
I
I saw he
believe
was
that's what I.
practicing with the
Yeah, that's
first
what
team.
I read this morning.
But yeah, so I had Yeldon got me 9, Doug Martin got me 12, Allen Robinson got me 13. Martavis Bryant was my top scorer.
Hmm.
My top two scorers were Martavis Bryant and then the Chiefs defense.
That Chiefs was a great call.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot.
4 interceptions.
Yeah.
Um, Gronk did 19.8 also, so he technically was more than the Chiefs, but
But
same front number.
he was across because we both had him,
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
and he was the only player we both had. Yeah, Justin Tucker for Baltimore, 2 points.
You did kill it
Arizona.
with Kirk Cousins. Like you
I
were really close.
Cousins to Crowder. Yeah, and then my Drake Bell pick just that game was so ugly.
Who'd have thought
Packers
Crowder
won,
would get more points than AJ Green?
right? It
That
was a
same.
wild week. Yeah, that Houston Cincinnati game was ugly. That Detroit Green Bay game was ugly. A lot of ugly games,
Hmm.
but oh well. So and then in DraftKings,
Yeah, no,
you
DraftKings, that's where I had the dominant lineup in DraftKings. That's where
yeah,
I made all my money this. Well, actually no, I made 20 bucks on FanDuel. I
nice.
um because I went with another similar inspired by your Crowder pick. I went with a heavy Redskins. But that's next. I'm looking I hit the wrong button and now my head to head isn't in front of me anymore.
That's
Where'd
okay.
that go?
Well,
Who did I play in head to head? Yeah, put it up on the screen.
well,
So
it's up on the screen now. We both had Bortles. You had Doug Martin and Lamar Miller.
hmm
I had Ingram and DeMarco Murray, which is pretty even. Although you get the edge there by a couple of points. I went Crowder, AJ Green, Allen Robinson. You went DeAndre Hopkins, Allen Hurns, Allen Robinson. So you doubled up on Jacksonville receivers. Did
yeah,
well
this is
for
my
you.
Jacksonville heavy one, which ironically I beat you, but this one did not place in tournaments.
And you had texted me before the game. I think on Saturday
Yeah, no, it
because
was
you
right
swapped
before the
out.
game.
You swapped somebody out. I can't remember.
Yeah, no, it was Hearns. I put in Hearns because I was just doing my lineups,
Hmm.
and they came in at the last minute and they were like, Hearns is going to play. So I swapped out, I think it was Diggs
Hmm.
I had in there, and I swapped him out for Hearns in
Good
all my
choice.
lineups, not
Good.
realizing it was the head to head that we'd locked.
That's okay.
But I don't think it would make a difference because I did beat you by 30 in
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
or
It wouldn't.
20. So
Yeah,
that
no,
makes me feel a little better.
it wouldn't have mattered.
The irony was I was in such a rush to do that that I had two lineups roll out with inactive Austin Seferian Jenkins at
Ouch.
tight end.
Yeah, that'll hurt you.
So,
But Gary Barnidge had a nice little week last week, especially even with Johnny Manziel.
hmm
And D'Angelo Williams, he was the dud last week. He was heavily owned everywhere, and then only 7.9 points on DraftKings. That won't cut it. And then
I
Chiefs.
did not like him.
Buccaneers was a fine play for how cheap they were, though. 12 points, you'll take it.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
actually had them in my big scores. I had the Buccaneers. I moved off the Chiefs because I was a little nervous. Would have helped even more if I'd stuck with them. But so I did play the Buccaneers, but I was scared of. I didn't like D'Angelo Williams all week in that matchup. So
it was the right
sorry,
choice.
James.
That's all right. Hey, uh,
So how did you do in head to head or in outside
outside.
of us?
I didn't play any other games on DraftKings. Like I think I mentioned this before, but my bankroll's very low, so I'm just saving it to play head-to-heads against you and against NBA games against my sister. And then I beat her last night. I beat her the past 2 nights, so
The saga of James and his sister continues.
she's good. She'll beat me. And then on FanDuel, I think I came out $2 ahead. I won all of my 50-50s, but then I didn't place in any of my tournament. I placed in one late tournament. And so I placed in that late tournament the past 3 weeks, and we'll just segue on to our DFS strategy of the week. And mine this week, I want to talk about playing in different slates. Because when you go to the FanDuel opening page or you go to DraftKings, it can be, for a first timer, it can be a little tough to navigate the interface. Like here I am. I'm on FanDuel right now, NFL.
And if you do go there, click the affiliate link that's popping up right now, and go ahead and sign up through us so
Am I
that we get
supposed
a
to?
little,
Am
little
I
bonus.
supposed to post a link now on our?
Yeah, you are.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. Yep.
There you
So
go.
that'll come up on our.
Yeah.
That'll come up on our video here. You can click that link if you're a first-time player, and then they'll get us a kickback.
Yeah.
You signed up under me on FanDuel, I believe, didn't you? You don't get any money.
You know,
It's a scam.
So I did. Yeah, you got the. Well, I did it with the entry pick. So there's the referrals and then there's the entry. So it kind of depends.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I've literally had like 150 people click my link and not one has converted.
Mm,
So I don't know. Um, but that's fine. Just
yeah.
check it out.
Exactly.
And if you do have a problem gambling, of course, don't be afraid to seek help. We use our entertainment budget for this. Instead of going to
Yes.
the movies, we spend our $10 a week on this.
Well, I
Um,
did go to the movies last week. I saw Bond, and it was terrible.
oh, you have
I
a
didn't.
gambling problem then.
I didn't like it. But anyway,
Oh, I loved it.
that's.
It was the most Bond film of any Daniel Craig film that they've done.
I hadn't seen any of the other Daniel Craig Bond movies until this one.
Oh, see, they were all like way too serious and stuff. This one
Oh,
finally had some humor, finally had some like over the top. And Dave Bautista, oh my God, he was one of my favorite villains since Lockjaw.
He was good. I liked him. I like Christoph Waltz, so he was fine. It was just kind of a. There were so many boring scenes.
Really? You thought
I
that?
thought.
See,
I
I
thought
felt,
that.
I
Yeah.
felt the
And it
like.
was long too.
Go watch Skyfall and then
I
tell me that about this movie.
okay.
Skyfall was long and boring.
Everybody see, and I hear that everybody loved Skyfall.
No, I don't get it. Like everybody was like, it was just way too. The villain was good, but was not used enough. And in
Javier
this,
Bardem.
yeah. The thing that I loved about this too was I read the script for Inglorious Bastards before, like 2 years before it came out, because I was working in production at the time.
Oh,
And
you didn't find a leak?
no, I actually was given one.
Yeah.
But and then I watched the trailer and I saw this German actor playing this character and I thought this is going to be amazing. And then I felt like the film itself was actually almost like the director felt the same. And like Tarantino was so in love with Christoph Waltz that he overindulged from the camera and the editing perspective. And it wasn't fast, it wasn't tight. It was kind of boring to me. I was bored by Inglorious Bastards.
Oh.
All that to say, the character that I wanted him to be in that, I felt like he finally was for the first time really in this Bond film.
Hmm.
Like when he lingered, it was right, and then there were other points that were rushed and proper, and the character was that like nefarious, exact, like precise. I thought it was everything that I've wanted him to be, and I've always liked him, and I've always wanted more from him. I've always felt like what he should be was not translated properly in films. Like, Green Hornet. Like, again, his villain just wasn't quite.
I
He
didn't
was
see Green
either
Hornet. Is
too over
he?
the top or too slow.
He's the
Like, 'cause
villain
people
in
like
Green
him so
Hornet.
much. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, that's going off topic. We'll do a little Skyfall blurb,
Oh yeah.
or Blood Spectre.
Spectre.
Spectre. Yeah.
Spectre. It's the name of the organization.
Hmm.
So you go to the back to the what are we slates? Okay, so
Yeah.
you go
People
to the
signing up.
you go to the main FanDuel page. You have your sports along the left side, and then you have the different types of games: featured, tournaments, leagues, head-to-heads, 50-50s. So a lot of people will just go to the featured and then sort by price and start
That's what I do. Sort by price.
and then
Find the cheapies.
just start plugging in your lineups without really looking at anything. Now you'll see that they have guaranteed and multi-entry. Yep, there you are, just typing it away too, because you're pretty solid with that keyboard with all those shortcuts too.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't even have to touch the mouse. Don't even have to touch it. Zoom tabbing around and shift tabbing.
That's how my lineups end up being the way they are. That's
Yeah.
why I played a giant Redskins lineup last week. Oh, hey, I'm gonna win $30.
And you did on a
Mhm.
quarter entry.
Yep.
But
2 quarter entries. To
so
be fair, they were 15 and 15.
so
Sorry, you cut me off on my whole
I
talking
know.
because I didn't get to talk about my tournament play either. I've got a $20 tournament play that I won this week.
that's exciting. We'll
Yeah.
get to that next.
All right.
Let me finish up quick though. So
Never gonna happen.
you go to tournaments, and then along the top it says slates, and you can choose the different groups of games you can play in. And most people play in that main old Sunday to Monday big old tournament. It's got all the games that except for the Thursday game.
300,000 people entered.
And
Or
as
sorry, 300,000 entries.
and as we talk about, or I think we talked about this last week when they would look at different contests or different slates and how many games are available and the average score needed to win or to place. And the more games there are, the higher your score is going to have to be. So if you play in a smaller slate, like me, and this is a problem I run into, is I think I have a good lineup. It scores a lot of points. Oh, I actually needed 10 more points to place because so many more people had players that got them an extra 2 points, 2 points, 2 points throughout their lineup. But in a smaller slate, there's a little bit more room for error, you could say. There's a little bit more room you don't have to score as many points to place. So the past couple weeks, I've really been enjoying this, the late slate, the Sunday, Monday slate that only covers usually 4 or 5 games. This week it's
four teams.
Yeah, usually, 8 teams, 4 games.
Oh, so you play we're Pacific time. You play the 1 p.m. through Monday.
Yep. So
Okay.
the late games and the Sunday game or the
Because
Monday
I'll go even further. This week I did Sunday, Monday night, prime time, and I did just the 3 late afternoon games, and I like doing that.
it's a smaller group of players to choose from. So your big choices are kind of made for you. Like if you want to spend on that quarterback, there's usually only 1 or 2. So instead of a group of 6. Same goes for every position. And I've had a lot of luck being able to place in those. I haven't placed too high. I won $20 on a $2 entry a couple weeks ago. And then last week I won $4, or excuse me, $5 on a $2 entry. So I've been successful in those contests.
Yeah.
And being able to have a lower score that I have to hit is appealing to me.
Well, and that happened to me this week as well. I was texting you as it happened because my point from a couple weeks ago was read the rules of the payout before you enter, because I entered a really good lineup that I was really happy with in one of these super satellites, and I didn't realize only the top 30 players actually get money back out of the 10,000 that were entered, because the whole thing is it's an investment in the big tournament, so the tournament pays out. So here I am driving to an event, and I park right before the second slate of games starts, and I'm like, I'm going to throw in a lineup. Oh, here's a cheap tournament. I thought, I didn't read, it didn't say super satellite. So I didn't think anything of it, but so I entered into it. It was like um, how many people was it? 11,000 or 1,100, I think. So 1,100, I'm like, okay, I just got to place in the top 200 to get paid. About an hour later, I double checked the lineup, and it was actually I was in 55th place. I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna cash out. I was not winning money because it was a
Hmm.
millionaire maker satellite top 50 only place. So I was all pissed and go back to the event, and then it ends, and I actually ended up placing 45th. So I got a ticket to the $20 ticket to the millionaire maker tournament. So
Hmm.
so I'm placing in that. So I can totally back you up on that. Also, speaking of slates, it's funny that you do that because my strategy point, based on another lineup that I had this week, um, my Redskins Saints heavy lineup was doing amazing, absolutely amazing. And this was in a Thursday night. I faded the Thursday game in a Thursday night lobby because I thought it was going to be low. And at one point, at the end of the first slate of games in a quarter lobby, I was in third and fourth place. One had Cousins, one had Breeze. That was a quarter turned into $750.
Great return.
Great return. Amazing return.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the Patriots still had to play. The Cardinals still had to play. So that ended up coming down to I placed 200th out of 262,000, or 224,000, something like that. But I placed 200th in the league, still made 750 and 1550 and 15 and 1450, and then I had a couple others that placed there 7 and a 350. Long story short, because I'm rambling, boringest podcast you ever heard because I started talking. But if I had when I put that lineup in, still played the Thursday fade, but if I had looked at it and said, "Oh, all 9 of these players are playing Sunday early games. I should mirror this in a Sunday early only lineup because I
Hmm.
like this lineup."
Yeah.
If I had done that, I'd have banked. I would have absolutely banked. Um, because it scored 191 points, which is great in a tournament. Extra great in a tournament when you've only got 8 games as opposed to a tournament with 14 games.
Yeah.
So look at your slates, think about your lineup and where it would fit best. Yeah, great fantasy advice. Thanks for letting me ramble, James. I will be succinct going in. We've got some big hitters for me starting off, and then it kind of tapers off. So if I talk a lot at the beginning, that's why. But Thursday night, Tennessee at Jacksonville. High Thursday, bye Thursday. That's what you wrote.
That is what I wrote.
I got to give credit to James for that.
We're not covering it. Are you watching it? I'm not. I'll
Uh,
be doing something else tonight.
I will be game casting it. I love game casting. I actually got a gig tonight that's an overnight gig,
Oh
7
yeah.
p.m. to 7 a.m. Just literally watching something,
Hmm.
space for somebody. So
Hmm.
I'll be sitting there with my iPad game casting, probably tweeting. Tweet
Perfect.
some from the Fool Duel, some from Matt Watch the Breaks. I try and tag my tweets IL so you know when it's me and when it's James.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I'll start doing that too.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
Sure.
You can just be the voice and I'll just be the idiot so people
Well,
know when it's the idiot talking.
you're the champ this week though.
Yeah.
So
Thanks
you
to your advice.
you get to be the expert.
All right. So
So
let's
we'll,
get into
yeah.
lineups now. Real lineups. Sunday early starts with my biggest play of the freaking week. Raiders at Lions. Over under 48.5. Line is even. Who wins? Who loses? We all win. It's awesome.
Well, I'm a big Lions fan at the moment because they took out those Packers, and it makes the Vikings Packer game this week extra exciting.
Yeah. And gives my Bears some hope still, which I don't want.
Do they have
Fire
some
Pelton.
hope?
Yeah, they're like 5-4, right? 4-5, something
Oh,
like that.
good. Hey, maybe they can finish ahead of Green Bay.
Yeah, Langford and the defense is finally gelling there. That's what matters. But so yeah, so the Lions though they barely won,
They
but
did barely win, and
I
they tried
think
to give away the game too. It
yeah
was so ugly.
yeah. But we've seen the Raiders can be passed on. The Raiders have an exciting offense, but they can be passed on. They're almost like Saints 2.0. And that's why I think this line is so high because Vegas is expecting a Stafford bounce back week.
Hmm.
I like Stafford for the price on FanDuel, 7,000. Um, Calvin Johnson, he's again slightly underpriced. I don't know. Your Joik Bell call last week was,
Oh, it was rough. I I'd just stay away from that running game.
yeah.
It's you. Before the season started, everybody loved Abdullah, and he looked great in preseason, and he could easily be great, but I'm just staying away from that running
Well, he's
game.
fumbled like four.
Yeah, and so if I'm playing Lions, it's Stafford, it's Golden Tate, it's Calvin Johnson. Golden Tate is the cheaper play. He's
Hmm.
6,200.
And he's coming off of his second worst week of the season is part of the reason for that. If he hadn't gotten that 43-yard touchdown or 43-yard catch and run near the end of the game, it would have been a horrible week for him.
Hmm.
But that helps us this week.
Exactly. I'd rather play Calvin than Golden Tate. I think Golden Tate's a nice little contrarian, underused tournament play just because he's in that price range where you could be
Hmm.
using Jordan Matthews against a bad Tampa secondary or
Hmm.
Danny Amendola or Jeremy Maclin for a bit. So he's in that group of players. I think Golden Tate's the least used in that little price range. So,
Yeah.
but Calvin. Although I should say that the Raiders points given up to tight ends, the Raiders are one
Oh
of the
yeah.
they are the
How did
worst.
we forget Eric Ebron and all of
Yeah.
this? Because he's up there with top tight ends when it comes to fantasy points per game as well,
Hmm.
and a nice cheap 3,500 on DraftKings. Um, FanDuel is
54.
54.
Hmm.
So that's another great play. And
Yeah.
then flipping the script, I mean, how do you not like Derek Carr playing indoors
Exactly. Yep.
with Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree and Latavius Murray? Like, I like this game a lot. And this is my last week. I did a Skins Saints, couple different variations on that for a tournament lineup. I'm doing the same thing this week with Raiders Lions. Got a couple different variations of that lineup that I'm running.
It's a good game to target. That
So,
makes sense. So yeah, I like Crabtree a lot. I like Cooper a lot.
mhm.
But
So now,
Murray, yeah.
um, that game, I also, it's one that I don't like as a fan though, because I'm not really a huge fan of either of those teams. I wouldn't want to watch it. The
No.
next game on our slate is like my favorite game of the week.
Colts at Falcons.
Ooh,
The line is Atlanta minus 5.5. Over under is 47.5. We should mention the game before Raiders Lions over under was 48.5. Did you say
yeah,
that?
yeah, I said that.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, because it's
My
the
bad.
second highest aside from the Patriots one, I think, this week. That's the other thing that I looked at. Or no, it's actually higher than it's Bengals Cardinals is the other one that's tied with it.
Yeah.
Um, and that's another philosophy that I used last week. Part of why I like that Saints Redskins game was also that Vegas influence. But yeah, but this is just right beneath it. 47.5.
47.5. It's Falcons look great. Julio, Matt Ryan, load them up.
But they don't look
Play them.
great. That's what's
You
so
don't
great about
like
this
it.
game.
Oh, really?
No, well, no, I'm saying they haven't like they've I've been saying it for weeks.
Hmm.
Like the Buccaneers game, so many weird things went wrong, or the Saints game, sorry, and then the Buccaneers game. So many weird bounces have not been going their way, and so many like weird, undisciplined offensive line play. I don't know. What do you think? I'm just talking football now, not even fantasy sports. But like, I want the Falcons to do really well this year.
Yeah. Well, they're coming off of a bye, so that's a
Yeah.
good sign, and they're at home off of a bye,
Hmm.
so they've had plenty of time to rest, recuperate, and hopefully figure out what was ailing them, why they had to lose to San Francisco,
Hmm.
and they
And the
play.
Colts
Hmm.
are coming off an emotional win.
and
But
and a bye as well. So both teams off of a bye.
yeah, and we have so obviously Freeman. I love Freeman. I've loved Freeman a lot, and he's slightly cheaper than Todd Gurley right now on FanDuel. He's 9,100 instead of 9,200 for Gurley, for an extra 6 fantasy points per game. Keep that in mind. So I still think that makes Freeman a discount,
Hmm.
if you can say that about a guy at 9,100. Julio Jones looks great. Jacob Tammy is always a fun little
Yep,
danger play.
we like Tammy.
But Colts, what do you think about the Colts?
Well, we've seen that the Atlanta defense is porous, and you can pass on them, you can run on them. They've given up a 83.5 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks, so decent. That's good for ninth best, but again, 83.5 isn't. That's a good passer rating, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and it's not the best.
when it becomes an average, I mean,
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
thing.
The Colts defense, or excuse me, the Atlanta defense is pretty good against the run. They're giving up 3.7 yards per carry, although third worst touchdowns in 11 per game.
Hmm.
So, but I do. So I guess these numbers would say Atlanta's a decent run defense, but uh, I still like Frank Gore this week.
Oh, okay.
He's going to get the work. 28 carries against Denver, 22 against Carolina. He's Andrew Luck is out. Matt Hasselbeck is there. They're going to lean on that run. For 6,600 on FanDuel, I like the play. I don't know if I'm rushing to put him into my lineups, but I
Hmm.
think that if you're in that price range, let's see,
Yeah, 4,700 on
yeah,
DraftKings.
you could have Gore or Doug Martin or
So he
Jeremy
is
Hill.
like on Fantasy Pros, he is one of the suboptimal guys. Like they've got, if you put in the optimal, then he's one of the first swaps that they offer for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that said, I really like him this week.
You do.
Um, yeah, I
You like
feel
Frank
like
Gore. Okay.
again he's one of those guys just on the cusp of a breakout week. The Falcons have been doing some weird things as far as those weird bounces go. Maybe the bounces go their way this week, but that pounding running game I think can go against them. Uh, so I don't know. I think that they'll lean on Gore to take
Mm-hmm.
some of the pressure off Hasselbeck because I don't see much. I mean, Hasselbeck is like he's older than Manning now. Like can't get the
Yeah.
ball downfield. He's shown some decent velocity when he's played, but it's like, do you trust Hasselbeck or do you
No.
trust Gore?
I trust Gore, and that's the one I choose. That said, I do like Dante Moncrief as a contrarian play that I don't think a lot of people will be on. He's in a price range around, let's see, where is he on FanDuel? He is, wow, I'm just bad.
4,700 on DraftKings, so he's right the same as Gore.
And so that makes him a little bit more palatable.
6,100 FanDuel.
Yeah, 6,100 on FanDuel, and he hasn't really shown anything. I mean, he hasn't scored more than 20 points since the 21st of November when he put up
Last year.
this year against the Jets when he put up 7 for 122 and a touchdown for
Mm.
21.7 points. Since then, he hasn't really been that great. But I don't. I mean, he's the possession receiver for the Colts. T.Y. Hilton's going to run those deep routes, and if you don't think Hasselbeck's going to get the ball that far downfield, he'll probably be looking to Moncrief a bit more.
Fleener.
You love Fleener.
I love Fleener,
You love that Kobe Fleener.
which is tough because he's actually, you got Dwayne Allen too, so
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like the Chandler Gronk situation. You just don't know who to go with. But I'd say Fleener's the Gronk in this.
Yeah. Well, everything said, Gore is the play for the Colts,
Hmm.
and that's about it. Everybody else is a risk.
Yeah. But how excited are you to watch this game? I really hope they show it here. I might have to go somewhere to watch it if they don't.
Well, I can see where they're showing it.
So so that's
Moving on,
Colts
yeah.
Falcons. Yeah.
Mhm.
Next we got Jets at Texans. As of printing, no line available, no over under available. Um, I think I actually saw that the Jets were favored by 2 though on one site that I was looking at. Um,
That would make sense.
but man, I just you know, you got TJ Yates starting at quarterback for the Texans. You got Revis Island out there on DeAndre Hopkins. This is a little echo of past Ivan shades, but going with Old Faithful, I do like Nate Washington for 4,400 in DraftKings. Again, when you're looking for that guy to plug in there, he's not going to be owned as much as Amendola, who we love. I mean, you don't not love Amendola. He's one of those this week where it's like for the price
Yeah.
especially, he's going to be 50% owned, but that matters. When a guy scores 35, 40 points,
Hmm.
that's when you don't want to miss out on a guy that's that well owned. And he could do that. That said, Nate Washington you know, could get 2 touchdowns in this game. I'm not saying sit DeAndre Hopkins like I did a couple weeks ago when I was justified in doing that. But I'm just saying keep an eye on Nate Washington as somebody you might want to play if you're looking for a value that's going to be not as heavily owned for the Texans. Everybody else on the team, I shy away from.
I'm not starting any Texans.
Hmm.
I just don't like them against the Jets defense.
Yeah.
I am looking at Christopher Ivory
Ooh.
against Houston defense that is giving up 4.3 yards per carry, 118 per game.
That's kind of a good point, actually, because I know you had Jeremy Hill last week,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't do much. Giovanni
No.
Bernard didn't do much.
Yeah,
But put them together into one person,
they did okay.
then you're talking
And
100 yards, right?
yeah, it's. I thought the Bengals ran into a trap game and they weren't prepared.
Yeah.
They just didn't care.
Oh, but I'm saying even in
Yeah.
that horrible game,
Yes.
their dual-headed running back
Yeah.
put up a decent total.
Mm-hmm.
People just don't, and their perception is not, oh, that was a good running game because it was split between two backs, and you know, sorry, it's just a roundabout way to back up your Chris Ivory.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. That makes sense. And so yeah, I like Chris Ivory. He's the play. Although I wouldn't be. I mean, the Houston defense against the pass is, let's see, the rating they're giving up to opposing quarterbacks. Where are they? A lot of nice dead air this week.
They're really low is the moral of that story. If it takes that long to find it in the search.
There it is. They just disappeared. 90.9 is the rating to opposing quarterbacks that they're giving up. Fitzpatrick is back. I read this morning that he's doing everything in practice that they want him to do.
Mhm.
Fire up Brandon Marshall. Fire up Eric Decker. I would choose Decker. I know you don't like Marshall. You're not going to start him.
I did though. I've also taken one more strategy point, which is
Oh.
play one lineup of guys I would never play.
That's a good one. I do that for NBA because, yeah, there's so many players that's like, I've never play you. And then I'll run on. I min-cashed in a single entry GPP by doing that.
Yeah, because it's like there's so much personal bias that goes in sometimes
Oh,
that you're not
yeah.
objective, and so it's like, well, let's be objective and play
Yeah.
all these guys I don't like.
Exactly.
So
It's like Steph Curry. Like, he's so expensive, but you can't fade him a lot of these nights.
yeah,
It's
especially
just-
not when he's coming to LA to show the Clippers up.
Yeah, I've got him in my lineup tonight.
Yeah, same.
He's. I like him, but I don't. It's like it's effortless for him. It's like because as a kid, I didn't like Jordan just because it looked so effortless. And it was like, why is he so good? You can't beat him. Come on. He's that good. He's that good.
See, I like Curry because after winning the MVP, he stepped it up a notch this year.
Yeah.
Come on,
he's
you gotta
so
love
good.
that.
He's great. He's a lot of fun to watch.
And actually, I heard Luke Walton on the radio the other day talking about how much work Curry does after practice today. Like, still.
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's great. You can't fade him in DFS. That's our point. So if you play NBA DFS, don't fade Curry.
Yeah.
We're on to our next game.
Buccaneers at
Yes.
Eagles. Fade this. Oh, God, I didn't even realize this is already Backup Madness Part 3.
Yeah, with a lot of backups this
Skip
week.
that.
That's the story of the week. Are all these backup
Hasselbeck.
quarters?
Yates, Sanchez. Sanchez
Osweiler.
likes Jordan Matthews, I've heard.
Yeah. Well, I have Jordan Matthews in some lineups this week. Even though he's a drop machine, that's what everybody and honestly just hearing that, and you had mentioned it before in a previous podcast, other NFL places always talk about his drops, and that's kept me I don't even look at him these past few weeks. Even though he has been somewhat decent. I mean, last week was a dud against Miami, but against Dallas, 9 for 133 and a touchdown. He's killed Dallas this year. Those have been his best games. Was last week on the 8th of November, 9 for 133, touchdown, 23.8 points. 20th of September, 6 for 80 and a touchdown, 17 points. Every other week except for week 1, he hasn't gone over 10 points.
See, that's funny, and and I like Sproles always for the price.
Yeah. Oh,
as
yeah.
As a fun plug and play to help you get some stars in the rest of your lineup.
Mm-hmm.
But the line is Philly by 7,
Yeah.
and this, you say that about Matthews, and the Buccaneers have an impressive defense.
The front group is better than the secondary, but yeah, they've been
Yeah.
really
But I'm just
doing
saying, like,
well.
the
Yeah,
line surprises me, and I'm almost scared to go with any Eagles except for like Sproles because he has such upside in a tournament. Um, but I'm scared to build my lineup around any Eagles when the Buccaneers could easily eke out another 10-6 victory here.
Buccaneers have a great run defense. 3.6 yards per carry is what they're allowing, which is
Hmm.
third best in the league. Now their secondary, they're giving up a 102.5 passer rating to opposing
Now, I'd
quarterbacks.
be curious to see stats, especially going against the Eagles, on receptions to running backs.
How many?
Defense allowed like what they allow on screens. Maybe that's yards after the
I'd
catch,
say yeah, yards after
somewhere in there.
catch on a
Uh,
screen.
but because it's like we talk about the secondary and how much they've given up and how much have the linebackers given up in
Mm-hmm.
receptions.
Yeah.
Because that could really come into play in this game, especially with Sanchez stepping in. I mean, I know that he's gotten a lot of reps, so he's almost like a first team quarterback, but you
Yeah.
still got to think he's going to be using a lot of his valves.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I that's where I would go from this game. Is I would go Philly passing game, Tampa Bay. Philly's got a good defense. They're giving up opponents have a 83.5 passer rating, and against the carry they were really good. And now they're up to 4 yards per carry, 4.0, 111 on the ground per game.
I don't know. I like
And
Jameis Winston's upside this week.
you do.
He's going to rush for 3 touchdowns.
I'd go Martin over Winston. I switched Cousins to Winston in a lineup last week just because I thought everybody was talking about Kirk Cousins last week, and I was like, this is a single entry GPP. I'm going to move to somebody who's going to be less than 10%. And Winston obviously wasn't as good as
Was less
Cousins.
than 10%.
Yeah, that obviously wasn't as good as Cousins either. But that last touchdown that he ran in, I was like, thank you for not fumbling and
Yeah.
getting that touchdown. I
Well,
yeah
and what's crazy is we think like that. Like we think, oh, fantasy pros, Kirk Cousins was number one quarterback on fantasy pros.
yeah.
And somebody posted that, and I tweeted in my Thursday night quarter league, he was 6% owned. And
Hmm.
somebody did a screenshot of like 151 experts on fantasy pros said start Kirk Cousins this week.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh man, I guess he's owned by everything. And I opened up my lobby and I said, nope, he's owned by 6.2%. This was after the Sunday games had started, so lineups were locked there.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes we almost overthink things with the
Yeah.
experts versus 262,000 entries is a lot of entries. So,
Hmm.
so anyways, so you like the Eagles passing game. I don't. I like the Buccaneers defense. I like Jameis Winston for tournament play. And that's about it. Stay away from Austin Seferian Jenkins. He was limited in practice again, and I'm pretty sure, especially in FanDuel, don't plug him into a lineup. He's burned me the last 2 weeks. I'm sick.
Yeah. Poor guy. They're really babying him. We're on to our next game. Broncos at Bears. The line is even. Over-under's at 41. We got that low over-under. One of the lowest this week.
Yeah. What do you
Sorry.
think about that?
Sorry. Well, we have the backup, Brock Osweiler for the Broncos, and
Who came in
then
and threw a great fourth quarter, right?
I didn't watch it.
They scored 13 points. Like I think they got 2 touchdowns, or they had 1 touchdown and a field goal and two really good looking sounding drives. Again, this is all GameCast based, but I like to
Yeah.
think that keeps me objective.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. It scares me a little bit
Yeah.
as a Bears fan.
It's going to be an interesting game, and then the Broncos have a good defense, even though you saw Kansas City put up points on them last week.
Yeah,
And so that's what I think is keeping the line low. I'd take the over on 41.
I do too. Because I'll say, I think that Cutler. Oh, it hurts to say. I think that he's found a new weapon in Jeremy Langford. I've never been
Yeah.
high on Matt Forte. I've never been super high on him. Um,
Ever. Even like his rookie year when he kind of went off and he was a later round pick.
no, I felt like he was always a matter of they gave him so much work. Of course, those numbers would happen.
Hmm.
But just watching him, I never saw ridiculous explosiveness. Um, I know we saw Zach Miller go off last week, and my play on that is actually play Martellus Bennett because Cutler clearly it's like they finally realized that this works. This running back, tight end, pound, and then outlet works.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they're going to do that to immense success against the Broncos, but I don't see it being Zach Miller in back-to-back weeks. So I think recency bias helps you out by playing Martellus Bennett. And
I
I like
like
Jeremy
Bennett a lot.
Langford.
I like Bennett a lot. I like Bennett every week, even though the Broncos are probably decent against the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Not really. They're kind of up there. And now I need to bring up my number. 37 receptions for 421 yards and 3 touchdowns. So decent against the running back or against the tight end. But where's I going with this? I think Osweiler is a fine, cheap contrarian play. Well, not even contrarian because people will be thinking about him because he has the weapons. Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas.
Well, and that's what I like
Davis
this week
now.
about that too is Demaryius Thomas's cost has gone down because of the quarterback.
And no, he's talented. You saw what he was able to do with Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
He was great with Tebow.
yeah.
It's just Manning has been that bad. He's been that hurt, that injured.
Mm-hmm.
What is he playing with? Plantar fascia problem?
Yeah, allegedly. I think he just was bad, and so they made that up.
But Osweiler, what do we have Demaryius at? Yes.
7,300 on DraftKings.
Yeah, 77 on FanDuel. Sanders is 76.
So this is don't take this to the bank. Yeah, 77 on FanDuel. That's a great price actually.
For a 1, yeah.
But I felt like, and this is just watching the GameCast. You can go back yourself on NFL.com or ESPN and look at the play-by-play. Once Osweiler came in, Thomas's targets, because I had him in a lineup, so I was watching this. All of a sudden, his targets went up, and he ended up getting like 4 or 5 receptions in those last 2 drives. I feel like Thomas is a great play this week.
Yeah, Chicago's defense is allowing a 94.8 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I think Osweiler is a fine play, along with those receivers.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But no Ronnie Hillman this week.
Don't stay away from that passing game. That Denver running back game. Although I will say that the Chicago defense is giving up 4.6 yards per carry.
You and all that.
And 118 yards a game on the ground. But you saw what they did to Todd Gurley. It's not like Todd Gurley went off crazy.
Not at all. Everybody thought he was because in the first 5 minutes he had that 30, 40-yard touchdown or reception and then like a touchdown run. And then he did nothing the rest of the game. Mm-hmm. Speaking of Todd Gurley, Rams at Ravens.
Ravens.
Ravens favored by 2.5. Rams starting Case Keenum. Backup madness. What are we up to? Part 5, part 6 now?
4? Yeah, this is our 4th backup that we've got.
Yeah, but we missed one in our notes too. Sanchez.
I wrote Sanchez Army.
Yeah, but we weren't counting him as a backup.
Yeah, I didn't write
Texans. Every single one of these games has had a backup quarterback going. Now that I look at it.
Let's see. Colts with a backup, so there's 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sanchez Army, I should have written part 2.
Oh, I skipped Raiders Lions. That's right.
But I wrote part 3.
Yeah.
So part 3 was Broncos Bears.
So that's actually part 4.
We're arguing about how I wrote the outline.
Oh no, I'm just saying that there's more. It's backup madness this week.
It is. It's crazy.
Pure backup madness.
That's the story. That's all you're going to hear about. Well, not all you're going to hear about, but that's the top headline on all these this week, week 11. What are we at? Rams, Ravens?
Yeah. Case
Baltimore
Keenum.
favored? Yeah.
Is Case Keenum a step up from Nick Foles is what I have to wonder because, man, Nick Foles is so bad. Ruins the value of Tavon Austin. Ruins the value of that defense, which works so hard and is so good. And then you get into situations where you're down 31-13 and Todd Gurley is no longer useful for you. So now they got Case Keenum coming in against the worst passing defense in the league.
Yeah.
Does that help Gurley? Does that help Austin? Or do you still avoid the game?
No, because Todd Gurley's worth consideration every week with his ability and against a Baltimore defense that has allowed it 3.8 yards per carry. 98.7 yards per game on the ground. It doesn't scare me though.
You
There's
said
other
that.
bet.
You said that lovingly.
There's other better plays at running back. So I'm looking away from Gurley. But if you wanted to play him, it's fine. He's still is he the most expensive player? No, Tom Brady he's tied with Tom Brady
On FanDuel, right?
on FanDuel. DraftKings, he
Yeah, I got
is
DraftKings. Except
uh
my internet's not working now.
no, he's 76 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's actually. I think he's still cheaper than Freeman on DraftKings.
Yeah, so that'd be where I'd want to play him. I don't think I'm paying up for him on FanDuel. Baltimore, you throw on Baltimore, so you really got to think: is Case Keenum going to be able to take advantage of that bad secondary that's allowing a 101, excuse me, a 101.4 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks?
That's the question.
I like Tavon Austin. He's getting tons of looks and work every week too. They're running screens for him. They're running jet sweeps for him. He didn't do that great against Chicago.
Well, they didn't target him though.
Exactly.
He at one point I think in the third quarter he had more rushes than targets or than receptions. So that's the question. Honestly, I think in this game, I think that Case Keenum is serviceable to the point where it opens up Todd Gurley.
Okay.
I think that he'll get a couple of completions early, which forces the Ravens to watch the pass, and so I like Gurley in this game. As far as the Ravens go, I don't know. They're one of those biased teams for me, which I just don't really enjoy. I don't like. I put Aiken in a lineup last week because he's a Brandon Marshall for me, where it's like he just doesn't excite me, so I always avoid him. So I was like, well, I'll play him. Crockett Gilmore, we hear his name all the time because he's fun to say, and he seems to get 2 or 3 red zone targets every week. But there's nobody from this that I'm jumping to go put in my lineups, probably to my detriment.
Kamar
Right.
Aiken would be my choice. He's $5,900 on FanDuel. He has 13 receptions over the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
He's their one receiver. He's their top receiver. And receivers do well against St. Louis. Opposing quarterbacks have a 90.5 passer rating, and they have a good completion percentage, which I believe is tops in the league. Yeah, opponents' completion percentage against St. Louis is 70%, which is the best in the league, tied with Detroit. So I'm not shying away completely from the Baltimore passing game. I think Kamar Aiken is the play you want. I wouldn't play Joe Flacco.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing about Flacco is we saw this with Steve Smith earlier. He'll get in a groove where he'll just target one guy, and that didn't happen until like the third quarter this last week. But then all of a sudden, it was like Kamar Aiken on one drive was five of the targets on one drive. So definitely some upside there. My fandom just gets in the way. I don't. It's not that I dislike him like Brandon Marshall. I just don't get excited for a Ravens game.
I hear you too. And Aiken's a rookie.
Probably.
I'm just gonna look it up right now. What? Where's my little pop-up?
James,
Oh,
you lost your pop-up.
I lost my little pop-up. No, he went undrafted in 2011.
Oh, so he's like 17
Yeah.
years in the league now.
So we're on to the
He's
next game.
old.
Cowboys at Dolphins. The line is even. The over-under is at 47.5. Tony Romo is back.
Yeah.
Finally.
No.
We have our Dallas team from week 1 is finally back together in one piece.
Avoid it all.
Avoiding it all. I activated him off of my season-long league, and I'm starting him.
Wasn't Joseph Randall their starting running back at the beginning of the season? This is not week 1 Cowboys, baby.
Yeah, that's right. Joe Randall.
Yeah, I don't
RIP.
know. This is the one where I want to say Vegas got the over/under wrong.
You think it's too high?
I do, but I'm not afraid of the stars in this game for Miami. I think Landry might be underpriced slightly.
Okay.
I think Lamar Miller, again, with all this JA stuff going on, people are afraid of him. So I think that's, I think last week 25% of the snaps went to Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi.
Ajayi, yeah, there you go. I think that and so I saw a bunch of people in the fantasy world were going off about, oh man, we got to make sure that we include him next week. I think it's the opposite.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then I'm not afraid of Des Bryant either. Some potential there, but
Yeah.
I don't like going deep with any sleepers in this game.
I'm going to go, yeah, I kind of agree with you. I like Lamar Miller. I have Lamar Miller in some lineups too. He's a great pass catcher, especially in DraftKings.
Hmm.
In DraftKings, I have Lamar Miller in, yeah, there's my tournament lineup. He's 6,200. He has, over his past few weeks, 6 receptions, 7, 5, 3, 1, 3, 5. He's, he gets work in the passing game, and that's great in a
Yeah.
PPR format like DraftKings. Dallas, I'd use Tony Romo in a tournament. What's his price? On FanDuel, he is, yeah,
6,000 on
and
DraftKings.
8,000 on FanDuel. So he's in that range where, I mean, why play Tony Romo when you could play Matt Ryan against the Colts for $200 cheaper
In FanDuel.
in
DraftKings,
FanDuel?
he is cheap.
Or why? Yeah, exactly. So we'll just look at FanDuel for this.
Though
So
you could play Cutler and save 900. Cutler's 5,100.
exactly. So I think and it's the smarter play, but sometimes smart always doesn't win in these stupid
Yeah.
gambling fantasy games. So I think Tony Romo is worth consideration in a tournament because I don't think he's going to be highly owned. That
Yeah,
said,
I'm just
Dallas
scared
is
of.
one of those teams, and I think this happens for the Steelers, the Packers, and the Cowboys in that their players are always going to see just a tick more ownership because they have that nationwide fan base that's all
Yeah.
over the nation. So all those Cowboys fans are revved up to throw Romo into a lineup.
What do you think about throwing Castle into a FanDuel Thursday lineup just in case?
It's bold. It's a really bold.
Because I see this
The
being.
cost of entry needs to be less than $2 for me to make that decision.
You
I'll
know,
throw
like,
away $1 to do that.
okay. I'll enter a dollar tournament and throw away a dollar on the side just
Yeah.
to validate
Hmm.
that risk.
Yeah.
But like Landry Jones last week going out on the first drive of the game and seeing Ben Roethlisberger come in, I feel like with Romo and with where they're at, one thing goes the slightest bit wrong. It's like, no, we got to sit him and save him.
Yeah. True.
So
Although they're 2-7 and they still have a shot at the division.
yeah, that's the other thing. This is
Yeah.
actually their do or die week,
Yeah.
literally.
So
But it's not going to happen because my upset special, game 8,
oh boy.
Carolina hosting Washington. Carolina undefeated and 8.5 points favored.
And
It's a huge line
and
for
it's high over under too at 45.
against a team that is on momentum central right now. You
Hmm.
like that? You like that?
Yeah,
You like that? You like that?
I guess.
That's not how you respond to Kirk Cousins.
Oh, is that? Am
You
I missing
cower.
something?
Yeah, his whole you like that? You remember that after they came back and won 2 weeks ago or
Oh,
3 weeks ago because of the bye? You didn't see that?
no, I didn't.
Oh my gosh, you got to go find. So he's walking back to the locker room after that come from behind victory against, I can't even remember which team. Was it the Falcons that they beat? Whoever they came from behind on, mega. He's walking to the locker room and there's a reporter with a camera and he's got his helmet off and he's like, he's Kirk Cousins. He's like Mr. Vanilla, and he's all like,
Tampa.
pumped
They
up.
came back on Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, he yells at him, "You like that? You like that?" And it became the thing. It's the thing for the team. Last
Oh,
three.
I didn't even know.
Man, oh my gosh. That's why I was like, oh man, this is the best Ivanism yet.
Mhm.
You like that on the line switch?
Well,
But of course I'm talking to the king of the Jonathan Stewart fan club.
oh, I just load him up and play him every week. He just gets that work, and his price stays low because Cam vultures his touchdowns for him. 20,
Sometimes last week 2 touchdowns in the first half.
just one touchdown.
What? Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Didn't he get a second touchdown later?
It doesn't say so here on FanDuel.
On the stats.
On the stats, it says no. 20 plus carries the past 5 weeks. The thing that's keeping his price down is that he's just not getting in the end zone, but he gets the work. And Washington's rushing defense has moved into first place in terms of yards per carry allowed, 5.0 yards per carry, 135 yards on the ground. Load up Jonathan Stewart, hand him the ball, and don't stop giving him the ball. Give him 30 carries this week, Ron
What is he
Rivera.
in FanDuel?
Riverboat Ron. He's
In
cheap. He's like
DraftKings,
4,000.
Real in FanDuel? He went
FanDuel,
down to 4,400 in DraftKings, which last week
yeah.
was a little bit more expensive than that.
And DraftKings is where you could say maybe not, just because he doesn't get the receptions.
Yeah,
And in that,
but that's
you'd
why I'm
want
curious what.
that pass catching running back. He's like 4,000 something.
No, he's 7,000 in FanDuel.
Yeah, 7,000 on FanDuel, and then on DraftKings
That's kind of
is
scary. 4,400 on DraftKings.
so.
So that's a big disparagement or difference or math terms. But you like them, so
Yeah.
you like the Panthers this week. You don't like my upset special.
No, I actually would, if I was betting on the game, I would take the point Washington and the points. I do think the Panthers. If I had to pick a winner, I'll pick the Panthers. Who do they have coming up next? So I like looking ahead.
Well, while you look ahead, I'm going to say that also I think Matt Jones is a great play. That's another tough one. It's almost like the Eagles, where you've got three running backs. But I think that he takes last week's momentum and runs with it even more. And I think that's how they beat the Panthers, is by ground and pound. And I think that their defense is actually the one to play. I know that you like Carolina's defense, but I like Washington's defense.
Yeah. Well,
And I don't know, over under 45, that's right in the middle of the pack from sort of like 40 to 49 that we've seen. I don't know if I go over or under on this, but I like carries. I like Jones with carries. Carries translate to production.
yeah, that's why I like Stewart so much. He gets those touches. Panthers will be playing on November 26th. There's 2 Thursday games.
Oh,
So that's
happy Thanksgiving.
That's Thanksgiving.
What are you doing for Thanksgiving, James?
My family's coming out, and we're
Oh.
having my girlfriend and I are making a big meal for my family at her house. So it's gonna be great.
I was
Now,
going to invite you, but
yeah, we're busy. Oh, are you having a meal at your house?
yeah, we do every year.
Oh, fun with your brothers and
Yeah, people.
whatnot, locals.
Yep.
But so I will have to talk. You and I will have to talk about how we're going to cover this next week, because I'm going to be busy. My mom's going to be here, and she's going to she wants to do tourist things, but she wants to eat at Musso and Frank's.
Oh, that
we went
sounds
there.
fun.
We went there
I've always
last
wanted
year.
to.
It's
Is it
fine.
good?
It's fine. It's fun. It's old.
Yeah, I've been in there, but I've never actually eaten there. And it is like, it smells like 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's okay. I'm trying to convince her to stay over on this side of town, though.
Oh no, you got to come over to this side of town.
But
James lives in the boonies.
yeah, the booties of Glendale.
Oh, which reminds me, I still got to pay those parking tickets.
Oh boy. Panthers Cowboys is the Thursday game, the
Cowboys.
Thanksgiving game. Think the Panthers. I mean, so
I give the Panthers a bounce back week on Thursday. They're going to come back angry
3 days
and upset.
rest.
They're going to kill the Cowboys after the loss to the Washington Redskins this week. You know,
I really like
but
Cam
we didn't
Newton.
have ourselves.
I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing that Thursday Thanksgiving Day slate.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it right now. I think that's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right.
Oh, and Bears Packers is the late game. on
Oh,
Thursday.
fun. Good thing
So-
you're. Oh wait, yeah.
I'll have it on the TV.
That's going to be annoying because my downstairs neighbor is a Packers fan, and he's
That's
also
too
one of the
bad.
like he's a yeller
Ugh.
at the
Is
TV.
he a clapper? Does he clap? I
Oh, yeah.
clap.
Claps, yells, does it all. And he's also, and it's funny because his son, he's probably watching this. He's probably one of the three of you watching this. His son, I'll hear him. His son plays football at the local high school,
Yeah.
and he'll like be like, no, as they're watching a replay, he's like, Dad, no, it's actually, and the dad's like, no, that was a football, you know, and like I'm sitting here listening to this father teach his son irrational fandom through my open windows and his open windows
Great.
downstairs. So it's always annoying. I was so blessed actually that I left. I told you that I had that event on Sunday. I left with like 30 minutes left in the games, or 30 minutes real time. 10 minutes left in the game. So I'm listening to the Packers game on the radio in my car, just imagining his reactions downstairs and like feeling so sorry for my wife. 'Cause I know-
Drops the 2-point conversion, and then
Yeah.
get the onside, so they're all happy.
and I
then
just
he
know
biffs
every
the
single
field goal.
time he's clapping and yelling at the refs, and yelling at the coaches.
Ugh.
But so anyway, so that'll make a fun Thanksgiving for me.
So we're back.
Segue.
We're back to
Sunday late games as we go late and
we go late. We got our first game.
oh, but here's Packers Vikings.
Packers Vikings. We got Teddy
Nice.
loaded up. Look at him there.
Oh, that's a great shirt.
Isn't that great? Yeah, I got it yesterday. I got it
Nice.
online. We're happy. Go Vikes! Finally. But again, the Packers scare me. It's an even line. It's a pick 'em. Over unders 44.5. The Packers have been just terrible these past 3 weeks, but you gotta think that they're not this bad, are they?
Well, I mean, they're missing Jordy Nelson,
Yeah.
missing Ty Montgomery, who was strong at the beginning of the season. You know, like he was a strong, a good option. I think we're
Yeah.
really seeing
I
how
liked
bad
Ty.
some of these options are. I mean, Richard Rodgers' production is through the roof, and I don't think he's that good. I think he's being forced to do it, you know. And there's also, I heard a rumor that they're hiding Aaron Rodgers' injury.
I did too. I did
So
too. So
who knows what exactly is going on with that? Eddie Lacy's just depression eating. James Starks don't care. Apparently, it's like, hey, you got the chance, and he's like, well, I kind of wish I was that guy, depression eating, and still
Yeah.
getting his guaranteed money.
I had Starks in a lot of lineups last week, and it killed me. Like,
You know, and Devontae Adams getting what 22 targets and only catching 6 or 7 of them.
the Vikings defense has been playing well. 44.5. Gosh, I like the under. I don't see there's. It's going to be like a 21-17 game.
Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, load up Peterson, Diggs.
And you know what I love about Peterson? I heard secondhand a guy on the radio talking to Adrian Peterson, and he said Peterson's favorite thing is when they load the box against him
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
then he only has to get through one time, and then it's daylight. And we saw
Yeah.
that with that 80-yard
At the
touchdown
end of the
run.
game, yeah,
At the end of the game when it didn't matter.
Yeah, I did have
Iced
him in
it.
a lineup, so I liked that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so my plays are on the Vikings. The Vikings defense is cheap on FanDuel now, and I believe it's 4,300 on FanDuel, and then we'll just look quick here at DraftKings where it will cost you 2,300. So they're a cheap defense again.
But then the question becomes, how do you bet against Aaron Rodgers a third week in a row?
Yeah, you load them up 3 times.
Does he lose ever 3 weeks in a row?
4. This would be 4. Denver,
So before-
Carolina,
I
Detroit.
forgot about
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah.
How did I miss it? Yeah. So last week I would have said 3 times. Now it's 4 times.
Yeah. It's so tough.
Maybe this week Brett Favre will send a message to Aaron Rodgers from a tree stand.
I hope he does, and I hope he sends a message of encouragement to the Vikings because he played there too.
No, I'm saying like a hey, look, you failed.
That was a great little
Because
video.
I feel like Brett Favre doesn't like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, good point.
Like he left because of Aaron Rodgers.
Mhm.
He could have retired a Packer if not for Aaron
Mhm.
Rodgers. So.
Yeah.
I love that the video had the bow like in the background behind him. I'm like, this feels like a veiled threat to and Manning throws 4 interceptions after.
It was a viral Hunger Games ad.
Yeah. Part 2 of number 3 comes out. I don't know. I get lost with all those.
Yeah. My girlfriend likes it, so we'll probably see it. So
Chiefs at Chargers.
Yeah. Chiefs, Chargers, Kansas City.
Chargers is the Hunger Games of the NFL right now.
They really are.
Isn't injured on that team.
Kansas City -3 on the road are favorites. They're road favorites. Over/unders 44. I sure love me some Charkandrick West, who is, and now I just need to bring up his work really quick. He is 7,100 on FanDuel.
But another huge cheap discount on DraftKings, 4,500.
Love that price on DraftKings, and 20+ carries the past 3 weeks against a rushing defense, San Diego, that is allowing 4.9 yards per carry, 122.9 on the ground. Load up some Charkandrick West. He will be a presence in a lot of my lineups, especially DraftKings.
But I'll tell you why he's great. Fantasy Pros has him as like optimal number 1. They put him in every single time. But this is another one of those cases where it's not the Packers, it's not the Steelers, it's not the Cowboys. I feel like he is going to be under-owned despite being as good of a deal as, Danny Amendola or Danny Woodhead or any of these guys that everybody loves. I feel like he's going to be under-owned because the Chiefs. Oh, that's not too exciting. Oh, and it's like people just don't get excited for the Chiefs.
No, they've won 3 games in a row. It, they're still in it for the division. They're 4-5. Denver's 7-2.
Mm-hmm.
Denver takes one more
And
loss.
Denver's
They're
this
5-5 to
7-2.
a 7-3 team. Yeah.
There's literally a crossing correlation if you believe in momentum.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
that said, I think people are also scared because we still think of the Chargers as a high-powered offense, and
Yeah.
they are.
But they're just so banged up. Yeah.
Yeah. So is Phillip Rivers worth the price throwing the ball to Antonio Gates, Danny Woodhead, Stevie Johnson?
Again, he's that tournament play that nobody will be on because he's so expensive. He's especially
6,900 on DraftKings.
83 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to pay that much when you could have Cam Newton for $300 more, or just go lower and you have Matt Ryan, Derek Carr for, let's see, Phil Rivers is, so that's
But here, now here,
600
here we're talking
less.
an interesting point too, which came up. It's kind of the opposite, but not bankroll management, but roster bankroll.
Yeah.
We like to find the values, but we also like to spend all of our money.
As
Last
much
week,
as we can, yeah.
yeah, in those lineups that I was bragging about, if I had not played Todd Gurley and played Jeremy Langford, I would have left 2,800 on my bench,
Yep.
and I would have scored 25 more points. And even in those giant ones, not the Sunday only, I would have been able to place in the top 10.
Hmm.
That would have been the difference in my lineup. And that's leaving 2,800 on the table. So,
Yeah.
so do we look at like, oh, we need to find a better value than Phillip Rivers, or do we look at production and could Phillip Rivers throw 4 touchdowns this week?
If he does, he's throwing them to Woodhead or the tight ends, right?
Stevie
Malcolm-
Johnson
Stevie Johnson.
and Inman. Inman.
Oh
gets
yeah,
some
that's right.
targets.
He's getting looks.
Mhm.
And the Kansas City defense, they've shorn up. I know early in the season they were a team to target in their secondary, but they're allowing a 79.8 passer rating to opposing quarterbacks. That includes 2 Peyton Manning, plantar fascia Mannings.
Mhm.
And have they played any other really bad teams? Oh yeah, they had that. They trounced the Lions in London. So
Yeah, that doesn't count.
no, it just wipe out those stats.
Mhm.
I'm literally just sorting defensive passing and rushing stats out of ESPN.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's much better analytics. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I'll make the
Red
switch.
zone yards given up per
Yeah.
carry, or whistles blown per snap, or
They're good
um,
stats. Look at them, but I'm not.
but yeah, but
Just
I'm with
look
you
at
on
basic
Sharkhandrick
stuff.
West.
Yeah, Charkandrick.
Um,
I like Travis Kelce too against a team that is Chargers have given up 41 receptions for 449 yards, 7 touchdowns to opposing tight ends. Load up Travis Kelce this week. He's a great play. I like him. I have him in my lineups.
You're making me want the over in this game.
You taking that over?
I don't know. I might.
Yeah,
I might.
yeah, 44. Seems about right. Yeah, I'd take that over.
I do, just based on the price. I have Johnson, Gates,
28,
and
24.
Woodhead in quite a few. 28, 24.
Something like that.
Yeah. These are also. This is a good kicker game. Just a side note.
It is
Tempe in San Diego.
Yeah.
Beautiful, balmy day, balmy
Well,
weather.
El Nino's coming in. There might be some wind here.
That's true. Double
But-
check that beforehand. But it's
yeah.
calmed down. It was really bad the beginning of this week here in
it
LA.
was terrible. I know. My
But it's calmed
porch
down now.
took it.
Oh yeah. Um,
But yeah, Cairo Santos and Lambeau, great plays. I like them both. If you're playing a kicker, I have Santos in some lineups. But since we need peace of Monday night, I have my kickers coming from Monday night.
oh, okay. Bills, Patriots. Before that, 49ers at Seahawks. Gabbert garbage.
Ugh.
Sorry, you're writing all the good lines and I'm stealing them. I'm looking at our notes and I'm like,
Yeah.
every time we've got backup madness, we've got Gabbert garbage. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, Ugh.
Seattle is favored by 13.5.
I'm taking the 49ers in those points, though. That's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems like it's going to be an ugly game. Like, 40 is the. I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the 49ers.
They surprised with Gabbert,
Yeah.
and now they've had another week of his. They had the bye week, and so he got more experience, more reps,
Yeah.
settled in. Maybe I like I like Gabbert, but I still don't like any of the weapons in that
No.
game, either side.
I'm not
Uh,
touching. I'm fading this game. I don't. Hauschka, if you want a kicker,
no,
yes, it's just tough. What is Hauschka? He used to be one of the more expensive kickers, but he probably still is toward the top.
I
Yeah,
don't.
$5 grand. Yeah. Ugh.
I literally like kicker and defense. My first philosophy is I sort by price,
Yeah.
lowest to highest, and I always take in the lowest 50% and the lowest
I usually do that with kicker, except for this week.
because if your variance in points average is like 4 points from the best to the worst,
Hmm.
I'd
It's just
rather
a
take that $1,000 and spend it somewhere else.
kicker is such a crapshoot. That's a fine strategy. Is just go cheap, or like me, I just pick a Monday night kicker, so I have some points
Yeah,
that I'm grabbing on Monday. But anyway, I'm fading this game. But I'm picking the 49ers and the points and the under.
yeah.
So we'll look at that next week and see if that pick did well. Although last week my pick, the Texans and the under, that came out well for Monday night.
Nice. James is actually going to get into gambling one
I'm
of these
gonna just
days.
start gambling on sports.
These over unders are making him excited.
Yeah,
He's
let's
not
set
even going to take lines. He's just going to take over unders.
just play those. So we're
That's fun.
Sunday night. Bengals at Cardinals. Arizona is favored -5. 48.5 is the over under. I had a lot of time really being confident about any picks. The defenses are all right.
Well, see, that's what scares me because again,
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch the game Monday night, so I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure if the Bengals secondary was just that good. I haven't seen a lot of their play.
Hmm.
The Cardinals depend on utilizing their variety of weapons. If they can do that, that's easy. So it
Yeah.
really comes down to whether or not you believe in the Bengals secondary. And here's where I fool dueled myself this week in that I did not research that enough.
Yeah.
Um, so I can't give you great recommendations on this game one way or the other.
It's
I
two
failed.
top 10 defenses. Passer rating against Arizona, 74.2.
Ooh.
Against Cincinnati, 83.1.
Mm.
Rushing on the ground. Arizona's giving up 4 yards a carry, 92.9 yards. And the Bengals are giving up 4.7 yards per carry, 102.4. So that just looking at those quick stats, it tells me that the running game is where you'd want to look. But
But yet,
Fitzgerald gets
48.5 is the over under.
yeah. So points and points.
Such a weird game.
It really is a weird game. Fitzgerald is 7,400 on FanDuel against
And
Seattle.
these are two division
Yeah.
leaders, too.
Yeah,
So it's a big game.
it is. It really is, and it should be good. But like, what would you predict if you could predict one thing from this game? What would
Actually,
it
if I could predict one thing from this game or if I could give one
be?
recommendation,
Yeah.
Tyler Eifert.
Okay.
Because I know the Cardinals, part of their defensive strength is ridiculously great secondary.
Mm-hmm.
Tight end sneaks in under the secondary
Yeah.
sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm. 41 receptions, 349, and a touchdown. That's not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like that Tyler Eifert play. I think Larry Fitzgerald is worth consideration every week because he does get the work.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the looks. He runs all the routes that they can take advantage of. We like our Michael Floyd, although he
Yeah.
is a little banged up. Same with John Brown.
Yeah, what about Jerron Brown?
Jerron Brown is a.
Did you watch that game Sunday night?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
watch many games this weekend. I watched the
Oh.
Vikings, and that was it. I was kind of busy.
So literally, Jerron Brown came
And
in.
Fallout's
and where,
out. I didn't watch the 1 p.m. games. I played Fallout instead.
Oh, even I got Battlefront, and I won't make that It's
Yeah.
still football. Still football.
But anyway, what were you saying?
Well, Jaron Brown came in and
Mhm.
literally, instead of like bumping Floyd up, he literally replaced John Brown,
Mm-hmm.
like plugged in where he was in. Though John Brown was in on a lot of snaps. I know I saw after the first half, he was in, I think 14 of, or their after their first like third drive, he'd been in 14 snaps. Fitzgerald had been in 17 snaps. But then they started using Jaron Brown, and used him. Got some good targets, got some good reception, looked good. Um, had that late. Was it a touchdown or did he get knocked out right before? The one that, yeah, he had the touchdown when, or no, that was Ellington. Whatever. I can't. The Cardinals players, they almost all are like the same exact size,
They
like body
are.
type.
Yeah.
So it's so hard to tell
Fitzgerald is the one you could tell because he's got the dreads
well, yeah,
or
but
the long
Ellington has the
braids.
dreads and Chris
Yeah.
Johnson has the dreads too.
Oh yeah, Chris Johnson.
So it
I
gets
thought he
tough.
cut his hair.
The one that you can tell actually is Malcolm Floyd because he's like lighter skinned and actually, or Michael Floyd because he's actually a little bit taller. He's like 6'3", I think, and has like noticeable light skin on his
Mm-hmm.
arms. So it's like I can always tell when Michael Floyd catches the ball. But even Jermaine Gresham, like even though he's a little taller and skinnier, he's still like,
Yeah.
it's funny. But yeah, Jaron Brown was interesting. But yeah, we're both confused about this game, and that's why we're talking so much about it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to
Palmer.
watch it.
Yeah. If I'm choosing quarterbacks, I choose Palmer over Dalton.
Hmm.
If I'm choosing one receivers, I'm choosing Fitzgerald over AJ Green.
Hmm.
If I'm choosing running backs, I'm probably going with Arizona. I'd probably leaning Arizona in this game.
Well, favored by 5. That's not a small favor. They're
Yeah, I'm taking
pretty
that.
favored.
I'm going to take them, Arizona, and the points.
Oh,
Arizona -5.
going beyond the money line.
Yeah, and I'm going to take that under 48 and a half. 24-21, something like that.
You guys have seen it in this hour. You've seen James Gale evolve from a fantasy football player to a sports gambler.
I listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, and
He's
they
going to start
always
doing
talk about
all these
gambling
over-under
and
parlays.
over-enders. It's fun. I'm not putting any money. Won't be betting on any of these games. These are just my predictions. We're on to Monday night. Our rowdy friends are coming on over to see the Bills and the Patriots. New England is favored -7.5. The over/under is 48. My kicker of the week is Gostkowski. He's so expensive. People will be off of him. That's the play I like. That's the play I like from this game. LaShawn McCoy.
Want to spend money on the kicker.
Yep, I'm
Carlos
spending money on
Williams.
that kicker.
Who
Carlos
needs LaShawn
Williams.
McCoy when you've got Carlos Williams?
It's a good duo.
Sitting pretty at 4,200 on DraftKings.
Ooh, and he'll catch passes too
Oh,
for you.
hey, Twitter notification just came in. FanDuel Elite 15 just followed us. Oh my God.
Nice. I
They're
love all
elite
these.
and they're this year. So they must be experts.
Really following this FoolDuel account. I really like all the Twitter names, and you look at the FoolDuel timeline, and it's just like, yeah, we made money tonight. Money bag emoji, money bag emoji, money bag emoji.
Oh, is that what we're doing wrong?
We're just
not using
killing
the
it,
tech.
posting our lineups. DM us for a chance to get a week's worth of rosters, and then you'll play up against these people on FanDuel or on DraftKings that have just these horrible usernames like "I'm taking your money," FanDuel Monster, FanDuel King, King of DFS. All these terrible names. I just think they're dumb.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's my little DFS soapbox. Think
I
of
like it.
clever names. Come on, folks.
Yeah. Or just your name so that your
Yeah.
friends know who you are. Like that's why mine's my Twitter handle because everybody knows me as Watch the Breaks.
Same
So
with me. I'm just keeping
keep
it
it
as my
simple.
Twitter handle. It's easy. It's only 5 letters, 5
Yeah.
characters.
flex winner every week.
Yeah. Ugh, terrible.
DM us for your ultimate flex play.
Yeah.
Um
What is this
I've
game?
DM'd
Oh, yeah.
I've DM'd some people for a flex play before. It had nothing to do with fantasy football.
Oh, really?
So Monday night, yeah, over under 48. Upset special number 2. Bills over the Patriots, breaking the undefeated Patriots' backs. Play the Bills defense. Go big on it. Go
okay.
home. Tom Brady interceptions. No Julian Edelman. It's going to be crazy.
Hmm.
Rex Ryan is been doing nothing all year except preparing for this game.
No Dion Lewis. It, it's a. I like it. I like the call. It's a bold call. 7.5. Yeah, I like those points. I'd take the Bills in those points.
That said, I'm still falling with 40% of fantasy owners made up stat, but we'll see. And playing Danny Amendola in every single lineup I
Yep,
have.
Amendola is a great price. I think he's 661 on FanDuel.
Yeah, which is cheap there, and he's four flat on
Yeah,
DraftKings.
that's a
They
great
have
play.
to set those lineups early now
Yeah,
because by Sunday afternoon, there's already like contests coming up for the others. So it's like, or Sunday night, they were already putting in the next Sunday morning contest. So Edelman foot news doesn't come out until 11 p.m. The lineup's already been
hmm
posted.
yep.
So
So yeah, Amendola, that's the play you want on the Patriots. I'm staying away from Gronk. The Bills against the tight end, 39 receptions, 355, and 3 TDs. And you saw what the Giants were doing last week. They were triple teaming Gronk.
mhm.
They, you take him away and you force him to beat you with Amendola, LaFell, and whoever that other receiver is. Who's
But
that other
didn't they
receiver?
beat
Keyshawn
them with
Martin?
Gronk?
Not really though.
Yeah, the game-winning touchdown was
Oh,
Gronk.
was it?
Like an 80-yard touchdown pass to Gronk.
Uh,
Yeah.
See,
That whole
again,
game
I'm
was a
just watching the Vikings and went right back to playing Fallout. Was it really? That was the one
Yeah.
for Gronk?
Yeah. I think it was 76 yards or something like that.
Oh gosh.
Um, but that said, Scott Chandler is also now vulturing some stuff, and who
Yeah.
knows? But I like Gronk. If you can work him into your lineup, I found one lineup where I was able to, and I really like that lineup. I'm debating whether to make that my $20 millionaire maker ticket or not.
Hmm.